Class C approaches the bathroom and begin trying to barge their way in. Sudo tries to prevent them from entering the changing room. Students from Class A arrive and tensions rise between the classes. Manabu arrives and warns them that they are still on school grounds. Sotomura alerts Ayanokoji, who convinces Horikita to stand on top of a diving platform to give a speech. She declares that D class will rise to A class someday despite the defects the students have. With everyone distracted, Ike escapes the changing room unnoticed. Shortly afterward, Horikita goes into the changing room to remove the SD cards from the cameras to foil the operation. We see that during Ayanokoji's call with Horikita, he told her of the boys' plans. Ayanokoji explains to Horikita that he used her rather than convince his classmates not to do it because of the possibility they would have done it behind his back. Ayanokoji then asks if Horikita had fun, but she replies that she didn't come to have fun. This causes Ayanokoji to push her into the pool, and she does the same to him in return. The other students then begin to play in the water. Later that night, Ayanokoji sends Horikita a memento as she remarks on how she gets along fine alone, but smart. All the first year students are taken on a luxurious cruise ship with many free amenities. During a play, Ayanokoji finds out from Miss Chabashira that an unknown man has contacted the school asking for him to be expelled. Miss Chabashira then offers to cover for him, but only if he tries his best to reach Class A. Ayanokoji refuses and tries to leave, but she threatens him with expulsion from the school. He grabs her by the collar, telling her that she will regret trying to use him. Miss Chabashira tells him that her life is already filled with regrets. The next day, Ayanokoji hangs out with some of the D class students. They watch the girls play in the pool, and Ike decides to ask Kushida if he can call her by her given name. She allows it and starts calling him by his given name as well. Sudo then asks Ayanokoji what Horikita's given name is and practices calling her Suzune. The boys go to a high-class restaurant, but they make a ruckus and Totsuka from Class A calls them trash. Sudo gets worked up but is stopped by Katsuragi, also from Class A. Horikita sits at the bar alone and Ayanokoji joins her. He asks her why she summoned him and they discuss the trip's destination and purpose. Ayanokoji reveals that the school is probably taking them to a boarding house on an island owned by the school where they suspect an ulterior motive. Horikita is then approached by Ruin about the fake security camera setup and tries to antagonize her. Ibuki from Class C tries to confront Ruin about something. She attacks him but is stopped by Albert and thrown to the side. Ayanokoji offers to help Ibuki, but she slaps away his hand and leaves. Horikita remarks that Class C could be on the verge of collapsing from the inside. Later, Sakura is shown practicing how to ask Ayanokoji out on a date. However, when Ayanokoji appears, she changes her mind and asks him for help in socializing with their classmates instead. She is happy when he says that he will help and grabs his hand out of joy. Kushida appears and Sakura leaves hurriedly. Ayanokoji tries to leave but is stopped by Kushida's darker personality. She tells him that she can sense his wariness of her. She then switches back to her cheerful personality and confesses that she feels lonely. The next day, they arrive at the island. The teachers then inform the students the real reason behind the trip, a special exam. They are required to survive on a deserted island for a week. Miss Shabashira explains that every class has been given 300 S points and the S points are transferred over to the class after the test. The points can be used to purchase equipment. There are also certain spots where a class can earn bonus points by gaining possession of these spots. Each possession gives 1 class point, it lasts 8 hours, and only the VIP can declare possession with a keycard. They also cannot change VIPs without a legitimate reason. On the last day of the test, for every VIP correctly identified, the class will be awarded 50 class points, but for every incorrect guess, they will lose 50 class points. D class reviews the resources they are provided with and try to plan for survival and point hunting. Ayanokoji remarks that there is a penalty for removing the ID watches and that there are sensors to determine the student's position in an emergency. The 3 idiots volunteer to separate from the class to search for the special spots while the rest of the class searches as a group. Hirata asks for volunteers to search for a campsite. Ayanokoji volunteers and the 9 volunteers are split into groups of 3 and set off. Ayanokoji's group includes Koenji and Sakura. Koenji swings on the branches at a rapid pace, but Ayanokoji and Sakura are unable to catch up. The two of them lose sight of him and stumble upon a path that leads to a cave. Ayanokoji suddenly grabs Sakura and hides in the bushes. We see Katsuragi and Totsuka exiting the cave. Katsuragi is suspicious and searches the bushes but sees nothing and leaves. Ayanokoji and Sakura look around the cave and afterward Ayanokoji reports back to Horikita with their findings. The 3 idiots find a river with clear water close by and decide to set up their campsite next to it. They choose Horikita as the VIP and the class decides how to possess the site without other classes noticing. They decide to cover the VIP when the site is being claimed every 8 hours. The group begins to build. Ayanokoji, Yamauchi and Sakura leave to look for resources. They stumble upon a wounded Ibuki. The trio invites her back to their campsite to be tended to despite Ibuki's reluctance. Ike sets up a campfire to much applause by the group. The group then discusses how they will spend their S points and predict how much they will have in the end. The class discusses what to do with Ibuki. To Ibuki's surprise, Kushida gives her some fruit. The class then finds out that Koenji was apparently not feeling well and went back to the boat. which will mean that the class loses 30 points. Koenji is then seen climbing the anchor chain of the ship and enjoying the beautiful moon and clear night sky. The episode starts with a room full of children doing complex problems with scientists observing them. One of the scientists approaches Ayanokoji and tells him that to have great power and not use them to your advantage is something only a fool would do. Day 2 of the test. Class D appears to be doing well. Ayanokoji and Horikita go on a recon mission to see the situation in the other camps. Ichinose brings them around Class B's camp, which is set up near a waterfall. Ichinose explains that there is a Class C student, Kaneda, who joined Class B's camp because of some falling out. Class A's camp is in a guarded cave. Horikita attempts to take a peek, but she is interrupted by Totsuka and Katsuragi. Katsuragi summons his security force and warns her. Class C's camp is on a beach. They are enjoying themselves, treating the test as a vacation. Under Ruin's leadership, all of the S points have been spent. Ruin did this knowing that they will not be penalized since there are no negative points. Horikita asks about Ibuki's injuries and Ruin replies that he punished Ibuki for being useless. He then taunts Horikita, saying he can show her a good time. Horikita and Ayanokoji leave, and Ayanokoji explains that Ruin is not planning to last the whole week and will likely return to the ship. On the night of the 3rd day, somebody breaks into the girls' tent and searches Ibuki's bag. On the 4th day, Class D does more recon. Ayanokoji and Sakura travel to Class C's camp, but everyone has withdrawn from the test. They meet Ichinose and Kanzaki. Ayanokoji asks Ichinose about Class A and he finds out that Sakayanagi and Katsuragi are polar opposites. However, Sakayanagi is reported sick and is not participating in the test. On the 5th day, Karizawa finds out that her underwear was stolen. The girls suspect one of the boys and demand a bag search. Ike looks into his bag and to his horror, the underwear is in his bag. He panics and gives it to Ayanokoji. Ayanokoji keeps it in his pocket and passes the bag search. However, the girls demand a pat-down search and Hirata finds it. However, he reports that no one has stolen the underwear. Later, Ayanokoji speaks to Hirata telling him that someone planted it. Hirata decides to take the underwear. His reputation will be damaged the least because Karizawa is his girlfriend. He then asks Ayanokoji for his help in finding the true culprit. The girls decide to separate the boys and girls camps. The girls suggest that only Hirata is allowed to help them move their tent, while Horikita mentions that he is a boy as well. She suggests having 2 boys so that they can watch each other. Horikita nominates Ayanokoji and the girls agree because he is basically invisible. As Ayanokoji finishes the tent, Ibuki approaches him asking for his opinion about who the underwear thief is. She mentions that since Sudo suspects her, he must suspect her as well. He surprises her by stating he does trust her, causing her to blush. Ayanokoji approaches the spot where he first found Ibuki. He recalls her soiled hands and begins to dig and find something. That night, Horikita and Ayanokoji sit by a campfire and Ayanokoji asks her to come clean. He then restricts her hands and moves closer. He puts his hands on her forehead and confirms that she is having a fever. He noticed that Horikita had been sick the entire test. He asks if she will tell the class. However, since the class would lose points if she withdrew, Horikita is determined to endure. The next day, Class D hurriedly gathers food. While fishing in the river, Ayanokoji asks Horikita to show him her leader card. He wants to confirm whether the card Katsuragi was holding is real, but is still unsure after seeing it. As they talk, Kushida tells Manabu and Yamauchi that the two appear close. Yamauchi approaches Horikita and puts mud on her hair to get a reaction from Ayanokoji, but Horikita throws him to the ground. Horikita leaves to bathe in a nearby waterfall. Later, she secretly tells Ayanokoji that somebody has stolen her leader card and Ayanokoji recommends not telling the class in order to avoid panic. He recommends asking Ibuki about it. Horikita asks for some time alone. Soon after, there is a fire at the camp, burning the survival test manual, leading to more trust issues. Kushida informs the class that Ibuki is missing and they suspect that she is the traitor. Hirata is on the verge of breaking down, but Ayanokoji brings him back to his senses and Hirata gives out instructions to deal with the rain. Ayanokoji walks off alone. Horikita manages to find Ibuki and confronts her. She attempts to search her bag, but Ibuki attacks Horikita despite the rules because she knows that there are no witnesses. They fight, but Horikita is defeated by Ibuki. A student appears and Ibuki gives them the card, saying that she managed to get what they had requested. Ibuki digs up a radio and tells Katsuragi that she has Class D's VIP card. Horikita wakes up and Ayanokoji explains that he found her passed out and moved her to shelter. She explains the situation with Ibuki and Ayanokoji asks Horikita to withdraw from the test due to her condition. Horikita refuses to lose more points and that she needs to reach Class A. She says that losing the card was her fault and it was because she did not have any friends. Ayanokoji tells her that she needs to see the value of having allies and she is not strong enough to get to Class A alone. Soon, Horikita faints and Ayanokoji carries her to the teacher's camp where Horikita drops out. Back at camp, Ayanokoji informs the class of Horikita's situation. He then tells Hirata that the key card was was stolen by Ibuki. Hirata is concerned that once the test ends, they will only have 50 S points and the class will fall apart. Ayanokoji then asks him for a favor. On the final day, the students clean up their campground and the class representatives are given a chance to guess the VIPs. As everyone assembles, Ruin appears and Katsuragi thanks him for helping Class A earn S points. Ruin gives a sarcastic smile and we see a flashback to the first day. Ruin secretly forged a pact with Katsuragi. Class C will transfer 200 S points worth of materials to Class A and will get evidence of the VIP cards of Class B and D. Ruin sent Kaneda and Ibuki to spy on Class B and D respectively. Class C then spent the remaining points and everybody except for Ruin, Kaneda and Ibuki withdrew from the test. Ruin hid in the forest and worked with one of the students from Sakayanagi's faction in Class A. On the 6th day, Ibuki's camera was broken, so he had to get Katsuragi to physically check the keycard. On the final day, Sakagami finds Ruin and hands him the declaration form. Ruin would then guess the leaders, Totsuka for Class A, Shionami for Class B, and Horikita for Class D. He also predicted the S points for the other classes. The results are revealed and the winner is Class D with 225 points, followed by Class B with 140 points, Class A with 120 points, and Class C with 0 points. The students return to the cruise ship and Sudo confronts Koenji. Hashimoto tells Sakayanagi that things went according to plan in making everyone mistrust Katsuragi. The Class A students blame Katsuragi for making them sign the contract with Class C and Katsuragi realizes Hashimoto was the mole. Horikita confronts Ayanokoji and he explains that he changed the VIP for Class D. The rules stated that they cannot change VIPs without a legitimate reason, but failing health is a legitimate reason. Hence, Class A and C both guessed wrongly. He knew Ibuki was a spy and destroyed her camera to force her to steal the keycard. He waited for Horikita to become sufficiently sick and bribed Yamochi with Sakura's email address. He also made sure that Ibuki would see the keycard. This would force Horikita to be distracted and allow Ibuki to steal the keycard. He also started the fire at the camp, allowing Ibuki to escape. As for Class A, he saw Katsuragi holding the keycard, but he knew that Katsuragi would be more careful. Hence, Class A's leader was Totsuka. For Class C, he knew Ruin was not withdrawing from the test. He noticed the radio and found one in the spot he found Ibuki. For Class B, he did not want to jeopardize their relationship. Also, he already knew that there was a spy in Class B, so their score would already be affected without him doing anything. Horikita is impressed and says she can't figure out what motivates Ayanokoji. The rest of Class D appears asking Horikita how she did it. Hirata had told the class that Horikita was the one who figured out the VIPs. Kushida approaches Ayanokoji and says that she really does hate Horikita because she has no hidden side. She asks if he would trust Horikita or her and Ayanokoji does not reply. Ayanokoji gets a text from Miss Shawashira to meet in the ship's theatre. She starts to compare Ayanokoji to Icarus, saying that Icarus wanted to fly to be free, but his father taught him how to make the wings and take flight. She then says that it was his father who requested he be expelled, but he also said that Ayanokoji would leave on his own accord someday. Elsewhere, Ruin reveals that the second part of the contract states that he receives 20,000 points from every student in Class A except for Sakayanagi every month until graduation. Horikita confronts Ayanokoji once more, accusing him of using her as cover. He states that he once told her that she needed allies and noticed that she finally changed. He confirms that he did everything to help her and she gets flustered. She thanks him and says she will see him as an ally but warns him not to get too friendly with her. While she goes on, Ayanokoji internally says that he does not acknowledge her or anyone as his allies but merely pawns in helping him win. People are nothing but tools and in this world winning is everything. He ends his monologue by stating that all that matters is him winning in the end.